Hello, welcome to Math with Beth, and we are going to look at finding equations of a tangent line. So in order to do this, you will need to know how to do derivatives. So if you don't know the basic rules of derivatives, you might want to watch my video on that first. So first of all, if we're trying to find an equation of any kind of line, remember that there's the slope intercept form of the line, or we could use point slope to find the equation of the line. This one is usually a little easier to use because you don't need the y-intercept. So if you have the slope in any point, we can use this form. So that's probably what I'm going to be doing. So if they tell me to find an equation of the line tangent to the graph of f of x equaling this at x equals 2, I have the x of a point. So the first thing I could do is just plug that into here and get the y value, and then I have my point. Then we'll worry about the slope. So if I plug 2 in to the equation, I get 5. So I now have a point on the graph, and I know I can find the slope if I have the derivative. So I need to find the derivative, which is the equation I get by using stuff like the power rule. So remember, 3 can come out front. Then I subtract 1. When I have something like negative 2x, it just becomes negative 2. And something like 1 will become 0 because the derivative of a constant is 0. So now that I have my equation, I can again plug in the 2. So 12 minus 2 is 10. So 10 is my slope because the derivative gives you the slope of the original graph at any point. So because I plugged in 2, I just found the slope when x is 2. So now that I have the slope and a point, I'm going to use the point slope formula to plug them in. Y minus my y equals my slope, x minus my x. If they want it in a different form, I could now distribute the 10 and move the 5. But if they don't say what form they want the equation, you can stop right here because this is the equation of a line. Let's try one more. Find an equation of the line tangent to the graph of f of x equals 1 over x squared at x equals 3. So it's the exact same type of problem. So first thing I'm going to do is plug 3 into my equation so that I get the y value. So I know one of my points, and now I need the slope. To find slope, I need the derivative. So first, remember that 1 over x squared is really the same as x to the negative 2. So finding the derivative is pretty easy if you use the power rule. And now if I plug in 3 to this, it will give me the slope of the original graph at x equals 3. So negative 2, when I plug in 3, remember this negative really takes the 3 to the bottom. So I really end up having negative 2 on top, 3 to the third on the bottom, which is 27. So y minus the y equals my slope, x minus the x. Again, it didn't specify what equation it wanted or what form, so I could just leave it like that. So when they ask you for the tangent line, you need a point. So if they only give you an x, you'll plug it in to find the y. And you need the slope, which is what you get from finding the derivative and plugging the x into that equation. Another typical question you'll get along the same lines is find the points on the graph in which the tangent line is horizontal. So this information, tangent line being horizontal, is basically saying that the slope should equal 0. And slope with stuff like this is the same as saying derivative. So really, we're going to find the derivative and set it equal to 0. And that's how we're going to find out where that's happening. So here's my equation. So I'm first going to find the derivative by using the power rule in this case. So 2 times 3, 2 minus 1 is 1. The derivative of something like this would just be minus 5, and the derivative of 4 is 0. So here's my equation. So now I'm going to set it equal to 0 and solve to find what points on the graph have a horizontal tangent line. So add 5, divide by 6, and we have the x value. So now if I want the y value, I need to be careful. Don't plug it back into our derivative. We need to plug it back into the original equation to get the y value. So f of 5, 6 means 3 times 5, 6 squared minus 5 times 5, 6 plus 4. I'm running out of room, so I'm going to put this in the calculator, but if you're not allowed to use the calculator, you could do this by hand. So make sure you square this first, then multiply by 3, then keep going from there. It is not going to be a nice decimal if you do use your calculator, so make sure you change it back into a fraction. So if you're not allowed to use calculators and you need help with these fractions, just reach out and let me know. But here is how you would find the points where the tangent line is horizontal. I hope that helps. Let me know if you need more examples on that.